There have been major updates of the coup d'etat that occurred in Benin Republic, as the French government has now openly come out to explain their role they played in actually foiling the coup d'etat, and stopping the coup d'etat from occurring or from succeeding. And the coup d'etat is still in progress because Benin military is now greatly divided. There are some military officials that says that they are loyal to the coup leader who is nowhere to be found. Apparently, it seems like the Nigerian Air Force that entered into Burkina Faso's airspace was actually trying to locate the coup leaders of the failed Benin military coup, and under the guise of France. It has now been revealed that the French government, together with Nigerian Air Force, carried out strategic attacks against key military positions of militaries that were loyal to the colonel who carried out the coup d'etat in Benin. So, as it stands right now, the new development is that the French government was highly involved in actually making sure that the coup in Benin did not succeed. And this is so sad, because it therefore means that the people who were actually in favor of this coup were people who never wanted France, who are against France, and who don't like France. Those were the people who actually carried out the coup d'etat. So France stepped in to actually make sure that their interest is protected, and that whoever remains the president of Benin is a president that is loyal to them. A president that's loyal to them, and that was why the French government stepped in. And how did they step in? We have been told by the French government, based on what they have actually released, that when this coup d'etat occurred, they immediately provided satellite imagery and geolocation to where these coup leaders and their loyalists within the military were. There were military camps that were already in favor of the colonel that carried out this coup d'etat. So Nigerian military did not just go on its own to go and bomb the hell out of Niger. Nigerian military did not go on its own. Nigerian military was sponsored, backed by the French, funded by the French, to go to Benin and actually carry out airstrike. Within them, you also had part of the French military that sandwiched themselves with Nigerian military. They hide under the cover that it was ECOWAS. Nigeria was going under ECOWAS. They hide under the cover that Nigeria was going under ECOWAS to actually go and strike or restore democracy in Niger. You now see how the cats are now falling apart. Another strategic error that the French government did by exposing themselves is that they are now making us to understand that the military jet that has been grounded in Burkina Faso by Captain Ibrahim Traore, it is part of the operation which was also being used as a reconnaissance mission. Reconnaissance mission in what way? It was actually being used to actually monitor some key areas such that in future strike this can occur. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger did a strategic move, and that is why the only way for the French to actually invade Burkina Faso, invade Mali, the French government must pass through ECOWAS. And that is why they are using Tinubu now, who is their latest puppet. Tinubu is their latest puppet. And why is Tinubu their latest puppet? Because the hands of Tinubu is dirty. Since his hands is dirty, his hands are dirty, the only thing is that he will have to pay or dance to their tone for him to be protected, or he risks not being president of Nigeria and he risks to be disgraced. First, Tinubu, according to documents released by FBI, was involved in narcotics. Second, Tinubu has shady business deals that he has been doing. So these Western nations are using Tinubu now as a bargaining chip to achieve their aim in the Sahel region, because the Sahel region chased away French foreign military bases, closed down all the French military bases. Now, it is the military base in Benin, the French military base in Benin, that helped, that France used to support Nigeria or to support ECOWAS to go and carry out strike in Niger. It was the French military base in Benin. The French has a military base in Benin. The French has 2 military bases in Côte d'Ivoire. Now, if there needs to be any attack on Burkina Faso, it means that the French government will need to use the nearest military base in Côte d'Ivoire. One is in Abidjan and one is in one other place that are forgotten. So they will need to use that military base to actually strike in Burkina Faso. But because they cannot carry out direct strike on Burkina Faso, what they simply need to do is that they need to pass through ECOWAS. And that was how you heard the French government, you heard ECOWAS at one point in time said they were going to restore democracy in Niger. It was not ECOWAS that was going to restore democracy in Niger. It was the French government. 80% of ECOWAS funding comes from Emmanuel Macron from France. 80% of ECOWAS funding comes from France. Now, 70 to 80% of African Union funding, 70 to 80% of African Union funding comes from European Union, which means that it is the European Union that determines the policies and procedures and how operations are carried out within the African continent. Now, when it concerns the ECOWAS sub-block, it is the French government that actually controls everything that is happening in France. It is a French government in ECOWAS. It is a French government that controls everything. Now, to also strategically explain to you what is happening. Now, just note, Nigeria does not share a border with Burkina Faso. Nigeria, go and check your map. Nigeria does not share a border with Burkina Faso. Nigeria shares a border with Niger, with Chad. That is where Nigeria shares its border. With Togo. Nigeria does not share border with Burkina Faso. Now, how come Nigerian fighter jet actually entered Burkina Faso's airspace to a certain level that Burkina Faso's military had to scramble their jets and force this Nigerian fighter jet to land in Bobo Dioulasso? Because Burkina Faso has fighter jets given by Russia. Some of the latest fighter jets, not those Tokumbo fighter jet that Nigeria is having. He has latest fighter jet. So they use this fighter jet and ask the Nigerian fighter jet to actually land. Now, the question Nigeria has not answered till date is that how come that Nigeria is not bordered to Burkina Faso? Nigeria is not bordered to Mali. Nigeria is bordered to Niger. But how come Nigeria fighter jets went through all the airspaces and landed in Burkina Faso airspace to do what, where, and how? It is simple. The answer is simple. For spying operations such that they can actually carry out an operation. Just remember, like I said, this fighter jet came just 24 hours after ECOWAS first had a session in Nigeria. ECOWAS had a session in Nigeria promising to stabilize the region and to make sure that all the coup plotters, all the coup leaders hand over to democratically elected government by force. As it occurred, the only thing that derailed it was a coup d'etat that occurred in Benin. When a coup d'etat occurred in Benin, it actually delayed the plan. So what they simply did was they used the coup d'etat in Benin now to go and spy in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. That plane passed through the airspace until it arrived at Burkina Faso's airspace. Burkina Faso airspace, when it arrived at Burkina Faso's airspace, Burkina Faso had now to ask this plane, this fighter jet, to land immediately in Bobo Dioulasso. The plan was to go to Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital. Thanks to the surveillance and Russian support and intelligence that Burkina Faso benefited, that had to force this fighter jet to land. And today, ECOWAS has declared a state of emergency across the Sahel region. State of emergency, which means that ECOWAS military force known as ECOMOG has the right to go to any nation in ECOWAS to operate and bomb if they feel that the government is a threat to democracy. Thank you very much, Ashman. If they feel that the government is a threat to democracy, ECOWAS forces now, without any permission from any ECOWAS member, has a right to enter into anybody's airspace and bomb places. That is a pretext that they want to use to enter into Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. But the problem now they face is that Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger outsmarted them long ago. And how did Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger outsmarted ECOWAS? The move by these three nations to permanently withdraw from ECOWAS, to pull out from ECOWAS, was strategic. And it is now working in their favor because they are no longer ECOWAS members. They are not bound by the state of emergency. They are not part of ECOWAS again. They are not bound by the state of emergency. And so what they are bound by, it is what their confederation, the Sahel Confederation, is now signaling. So what will Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger do? They will simply strike any military jet that enter their airspace. And let me explain you what is happening so far right now on the ground. On the ground, when the coup d'etat occurred in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Niger, France was so angry because France was benefiting heavily from this nation. And if the coup d'etat in Benin had succeeded, France would have suffered for a very long time. And that was why France did everything to make sure that the coup d'etat doesn't succeed. They did everything to make sure that the coup d'etat doesn't succeed. They bombed, because they actually bombed strategic places inside Benin. It is sad that you go into Benin and bomb places. France actually carry out bombing because of their military base. They benefited from their military base in Benin. And that's why the military base in Benin is actually dangerous for the Sahel nation. And there are two military bases in Cote d'Ivoire, and that was why Captain Ibrahim Traoré warned last time that Cote d'Ivoire is not a friend to Burkina Faso and will not be a friend to Burkina Faso, simply because Cote d'Ivoire has two military bases, French military bases. And Traoré said these French military bases are used to train terrorists that are injected into the Sahel region to destabilize the region, such that the Sahel region now will go to France as a partner to beg France to come and fight terrorism. That is why you see what is happening now. Now, what is happening is that once this coup d'etat occurred in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, France was not happy. France was not happy. As France was not happy, what France simply did was France asked ECOWAS to impose heavy sanction on these nations. ECOWAS imposed heavy sanction on Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, Qatar. Nigeria went as far as closing its airspace. Nigeria closed its airspace from any flights from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So Burkina Faso airline, Mali airline, and Niger airline cannot enter into ECOWAS airspace. Cannot. The worst nation that they cannot even dare is Nigeria, because Nigeria said they will shoot it down. Now Nigeria actually closed its airspace from this nation. Now what the hell was Nigeria's own military jet doing inside Burkina Faso airspace? Why Nigeria itself had closed its airspace from Burkina Faso, Nigeria is going now to attend Burkina Faso airspace. Why? It's simple. There was a call between Macron and Tinubu. Tinubu and Macron, they are the new people now in relationship. Very new, latest couple, latest, strategizing how to bring down other African nations. Now, if the coup in Benin failed, as it has failed, what I see, Benin would descend into chaos. Now, Nigerian president has actually asked that the 11 soldiers detained in Burkina Faso by the Sahel nation be released immediately. He said these soldiers were going to Portugal. That they were going to Portugal for a training. Since when did Nigerian military start using Nigerian military jets and going to European nations. Since when? They said they were going to Portugal, that they had a problem with their jets, that their fighter jet had a problem and had to do an emergency landing. What problem is a fighter jet having? Zero. Burkina Faso had checked the fighter jet, it did not have any problem. Second, if your fighter jet had a problem, there is something we call Mayday, Boeing 435, permission to land, engine block, permission to land, over, permission to land. We know we are a hostile nation, permission to land, over. In the air traffic controller, then the air traffic controller in Burkina Faso will not communicate with the president that there is an emergency in a flight which was not supposed to use the airspace, Burkina Bay airspace. Should we grant them permission to land because of the emergency? Note that there is an international protocol which says that a plane in an emergency has a right to land in your territory, provided they communicate to the air traffic controller in that area, notifying them of the emergency before they will get clearance to land. Whether they have no flight zone or not, as long as they have communicated that they had challenge in their plane, they will be permitted to land. But this Nigerian Air Force did not do that. They did not. They enter into Burkina Faso airspace, move right deep into Bobo Dioulasso. Bobo Dioulasso is like the economic capital of Burkina Faso. Enter into Bobo Dioulasso, and they were en route to Ouagadougou. And they were flying at low altitude. How? To get views and visuals, to know where some of these military-based installations are, so that they can strike. Because when Burkina Faso chased away, the French military, Niger did same, Mali did same, they reconfigured their security network. Areas where the French government used to think that they were, they reconfigure. And now, French government is using satellite imagery to want to know what is happening. But Russia technology also is assisting these people to know how they can strategize. That is why you see the Nigerian jet was flying at low altitude. And they are not claiming that they had a problem with their jet. Which problem? They have not explained any problem. What problem was with the jet? Even if the jet had a problem, why did you not contact the air traffic controller of Burkina Faso? Why did you not contact the government of Burkina Faso? It's not like their jet had problem with the air traffic control, or it had a problem with its communication channel. It's working perfectly. Burkina Faso's preliminary investigation revealed that nothing was wrong with the Nigerian jet that they claim. Also, second, it was the Nigerian government is making people to understand that the Nigerian military jet had a problem and did an emergency landing. Is not true. What happened was that it was Burkina Faso military that forced that Nigerian jet to land. Burkina Faso military, their own fighter jet immediately went on air along with what Mali had deployed. They gave an ultimatum that if the fighter jet of Nigeria don't land immediately in Bobo Dioulasso, they'll shoot it down. And all the crew members will die. So they had to immediately succumb to the threat and landed at Bobo Dioulasso before they were arrested for further investigation. And today, Nigerian government is now calling for the immediate release and also the release of their Boeing, of their plane. Ibrahim Traore, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the Sahel nations have released a communique now. According to their communique, they released stating that the Sahel nations cannot be intimidated, that the Sahel nation will carry out investigation, and if they find out that there are conspiracy, if they find out that there are other things which are happening, which the French government is part of it, that they will sanction, the nation that is involved, will sanction France. So as of now, what is happening is that the Bobo Dioulasso is safe, Burkina Faso is on high alert, and the Sahel nations are now having an emergency session. The Sahel nation has actually promised that they will retaliate and they will go to war if Nigeria actually wants war. if Nigeria actually won war and that they will go to war. But this is what is happening. This evening, ECOWAS has released a statement. This evening, as I'm talking to you, ECOWAS has released a statement. The statement released by ECOWAS is that Burkina Faso should release the jet that is in their custody. The second statement is that Burkina Faso should ensure that these soldiers are released. But there is a problem. Burkina Faso has refused. And the coup d'etat in Benin has not totally failed, because soldiers loyal to the colonel that carry out the coup have made it clear that they are loyal, that they don't consider the president again of Benin to be their president. They said they don't consider the president to be their president. And France is now coming out to say that thanks to them, the coup d'etat failed. And which means that France is now acknowledging that the president of Benin is their puppet, is their ambassador, is the ambassador, because France now making us understand that Benin is a state in France, because Macron is saying that they are the ones that prevented. And this is also what is happening. This is also what is happening in the Sahel. As you are seeing Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, on the other hand, is threatening Faso. On the other hand, Cote d'Ivoire is threatening Burkina Faso. How is Cote d'Ivoire threatening Burkina Faso? Heavy surveillance are being carried out by Cote d'Ivoire. All of these nations are bent to see that these Sahel nations actually crumbles. France is crying heavily because the nations they rely on is Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali on uranium. Uranium supply has crippled the French economy. The fact that the French government had to buy uranium in an expensive rate, and the fact that they no longer have control over the uranium, is making Macron to go mad. They can do anything to get rid of Traore. They can do anything to get rid of Tiani. They can do anything to get rid of Assimi Goïta. They can do anything. They can do anything to get rid of these people. Will Traore release the jet? No. They will not release the jet. And as it stands now, if there is a potential of a war, what will happen is that Ghana will not join ECOWAS to go for that war against the Sahel nation, because Ghana has made it clear. And that's why the president of Ghana is a very intelligent president. John Mahama had made it clear that every nation in Africa, in the ECOWAS bloc or in the West African bloc, has a right to their foreign policy. And that it is not the place of ECOWAS to determine what a nation do as far as their foreign policy is concerned. So, as it stands, Ghana will not go into that war. Ghana will not go into that war. We risk having a war. But the caveat here is that Nigeria president, who is spearheading this nonsense, has failed to understand that they are kidnapping people in Nigeria. People are being kidnapped in Nigeria. Bandits are taking over. Radical Islamic terrorists are taking over. Instead of the Nigerian government to deploy air force to go and actually strike down these bandits, the Nigerian government is deploying air force to go and carry out military operation in Benin. Today, the 9th of December, Nigerian Senate has now officially approved that Nigerian soldiers should be deployed to Benin. As I'm talking to you this evening, Nigerian soldiers are going to Benin on the ground soldiers and air force. Formally, they are going to Benin. Nigerian ground soldiers are going to Benin. Why? Because there is a faction of the military of Benin that has refused to recognize the president as a legitimate president. They said the president is no longer welcome as a president. So what France wants to do is that France wants to finish the job. France wants to finish the job because France see that majority of Beninois don't want France. So that is why France went to Buhari, Tinubu, and Tinubu took the matter and sent to Nigerian Senate, and Nigerian Senate today approved the deployment of soldiers to Benin. Hear the irony. Nigerian Senate approved the deployment of soldiers to Benin Republic today. If you think I'm lying, go and go to YouTube, Google Nigerian Senate deployment of troops to Benin. You see that Godwin Akpabio, the Senate President of Nigeria, after reading the motion, the eyes, the ears have it, said, as of today, Nigerian soldiers will be deployed to Benin by the Commander-in-Chief. Bandits are kidnapping people in Nigeria. 200 people are kidnapped, 300 people are kidnapped, 100 people are kidnapped. People are being killed in Nigeria by kidnappers. Yet Nigerian Senate has not approved the deployment of soldiers to Zambezi Forest. Zambezi Forest. That bandits are kidnapping people left and right. Nigeria don't care. Nigerian Senate don't care. They now instead care more about restoring democracy in Benin. They care more about restoring democracy in Benin. They don't care more about making sure that Nigerians are safe. You see the hypocrisy. You see why we say that the insecurity in Nigeria is politically motivated. It's sponsored by those who are in power. The insecurity in Nigeria, it has not been proven that the insecurity in Nigeria, the government of Nigeria know what is happening to the insecurity. Because, how do you explain the fact that there is high level of insecurity in Nigeria? In fact, many people die every day from the hands of kidnappers in Nigeria than they would die in Benin even if the military take over. But what happened is, Nigeria turned a blind eye to the insecurity. France decided, and you know why Tinubu and these Nigerian leaders have decided to go to Benin on a ground operation? Because money is being given to them. And once the money that's being given to them it does not have accountability. The money that the French government has given to them, it hasn't gotten any accountability. The operation is that restored democracy in Benin. The few soldiers who are agitating, who are still fighting and who want to overthrow the president, go and remove them, go and capture them, go and remove them. And now they are giving these leaders politician money. So the politicians, you know, Nigerian politicians with money, they will take the money and they will remove their own and send the soldiers to go and die. They will collect the money, remove them, and that's why this is a good opportunity for them. This is a catch out. They are catching out now. It's a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity. Nigerian president is happy with this opportunity. It's a time for them to go and catch out, because they realize that if they want to go and fight bandits, they will not favor them. And the bandit situation in Nigeria is supported by these politicians. In a normal circumstances, they know that they will not win election. If election in Nigeria was to be free and fair, especially in the north, do you know why the northern parties are constantly under insecurity in Nigeria? They have the population, they have the numbers, and Nigeria is going by popular vote. They have the numbers. Because they have the numbers, and they know that if a sane politician like Peter Obi, a politician that knows politics, go to campaign against them, they'll win. So the best thing that they are doing is that destabilize the region. Once the region is destabilized, no good election cannot be carried out in that area perfectly. So since the election cannot be carried out in that area perfectly, we will use election commission to rig the election, and you become your governor, you become the local government chairman, you become your president, and you give the bandits the way to operate, and you operate in your own corner. That is what is happening right now in Nigeria. And that's why you see Tinubu prefer. How do you explain the fact that, as I'm talking to you, just go. A church was recently attacked in Nigeria. After yesterday, a church was attacked. Worshippers were killed. The priest was kidnapped. It was an Anglican church. The priest was kidnapped. Alongside with the wife, they were kidnapped. Now, instead of Nigeria to deploy troops to go to forest, Zambezi Forest, to fight against these insurgents, these kidnappers, Nigerian Senate today has approved that soldiers should go to Benin and fight. Irony. Go to Benin and fight. So Nigerians now care more about Beninois than their own people. They care more about Beninois than their own people. When Trump says that a particular country is shit, that, you people say that, oh, Trump is this, Trump is that, Trump is that. We have a country, a president in Nigeria who cares more about getting money, the amount of money he will get from France. Because Macron is sponsoring them to go to Benin now to go and fight a few soldiers who are fighting. Because remember that gun battle
is still on. More than 5 military bases or camps were bombed by Nigerian military and the French military in Benin. On that Sunday that we talked about, that coup d'etat was ongoing. Strikes were carried out in military bases loyal to the coup leaders. Strikes were carried out. And those strikes were carried out backed by France. And they want to go and restore democracy. You are in everybody is Tinubu that is going to restore, that is wanting to go and restore democracy in Niger, in Benin. Is Tinubu. Of all the people that can actually restore democracy, it's not John Mahama of Ghana, who is a Democrat, who won his first mandate. The second mandate, he was defeated by Nana Akufo-Addo. He was defeated. He accepted the defeat. He stepped down, and Nana Akufo-Addo was sworn in. He only came back after Akufo-Addo finished his 2 terms. Now it's Tinubu that's going to restore democracy. The same Tinubu whose party actually committed serious electoral offenses in Nigeria that we all watch like that. We saw it before our eyes. We saw how it unfolded. We saw what happened. It's Tinubu that is going to restore democracy. Tinubu. Of all, everybody says Bola on your mandate that is going to restore democracy. We are making a mockery of democracy. And that's why you see, when I look at the situation occurring, I just look at it, I laugh, I say, oh, Africa. We have a long way to go. Long way. And that's why I enjoy president like Captain Ibrahim Traore. I enjoy president like Traore. Africa has a long way to go, long way. That you are giving Tinubu money to go and restore democracy. You give granite. You take granite, you give a rat to keep. You take granite, you give a rat to keep. See here. See this? Okay. No wahala. I want to thank all of you who took our time to actually follow this, because I always follow up your posts. I appreciate the work you are doing. Keep educating Africans. I also follow up you. Thank you very much. See here, we have reached a point in this Africa where we need leaders that can stand up. When election occurred, ECOWAS is now a body which is being used to legitimize deviant actions. Now, ECOWAS is a body that is now being used as a tool to destabilize the West African bloc. ECOWAS is the body which is being used by France to actually gain control, to regain control over. ECOWAS is the body. How do you explain the fact that, thank you very much, let them talk. Thank you very much for your gift. All those of you gifting me, I want to thank you very much on TikTok. Thank you very much. How do you explain this fact that ECOWAS itself cannot sponsor? ECOWAS members cannot sponsor it. So they rely heavily on France. It is France that gives 80% of their budget, running costs, investment budget, project budget, mission budget. All of the amount is given by France. Why is France giving it? And you know what? There's insecurity also in Nigeria. They have discovered some key minerals. And when you hear insecurity operating, how are the terrorists in this area getting their weapons from? How are they getting their weapons from? ECOWAS is a tool used now. The same way African Union is a tool which is being used now to legitimize stolen elections. African Union is a tool, and ECOWAS is a tool that is being used to legitimize illegitimacy. They are used as tools to actually reward hate of state, hate people who hate their nation, who are the cabal, who sit and manipulate. These bodies are now being used to legitimize their leadership. They are being used to legitimize their leadership. ECOWAS is being used to actually legitimize thief. In fact, let me go stage by stage so that I'll break it down. The 2022 presidential election in Nigeria witnessed high level of violence. Violence was at its peak in Lagos, in Cross River State. In some states, violence was at its peak. People had their body with inflicted pains. Ballot boxes were snatched by thugs loyal to APC. We saw how people were beaten. People were warned that if you are not Yoruba, don't vote in this polling unit. Don't vote, live here. We saw how masquerades were removed to chase away people. We even saw how clearly it shows that Peter Gregory Obi had won the election. What happened? Manhood Yakubu, known as Mahmoud Yakubu, INEC chairman, actually declared that Tinubu won the election. The moment that ECOWAS declared Tinubu won the election, that INEC declared Tinubu won the election, ECOWAS immediately sent congratulations to Tinubu. ECOWAS immediately sent a congratulation to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. African Union immediately sent a congratulation to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They did not condemn the violence. They did not punish it. Nobody was sanctioned. Nobody was sanctioned about the violence. When some people lost their lives in the Nigeria election. But to ECOWAS, everything went well. Perfect. ECOWAS congratulated Tinubu because it's one of them. Oh, thank you. We'll protect you because when it's our turn, you protect us because we are all our governors of France. Nigeria has proven that it is a province in France. Benin has proven that it is a province in France. Senegal has also proven that they are a province in France. The worst is even this one that called itself Côte d'Ivoire. Has proven that they are element in France. They are province in France. All of these areas, these nations I've called, are heavily controlled by the French government. And you bother why Africa is the way it is? All these people will not sleep until Ibrahim Traore, Assimi Goïta, until these three leaders are out, because the French is suffering. Electricity in France is epileptic now. It's not stable. The economy is not stable because of the fact that uranium, which is their main asset that they use in generating electricity, is no longer for free. It's no longer for free. So France's economy is dangling. Today, the French Prime Minister defended a budget, a cash crunch budget in France. He defended that budget in France. Today, since France was chased away from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, French economy has been making like this, has been dancing Cabrema moto. It's dancing Zengedube Zangaliwa. Since that's why the French government is bent on restoring their leadership back in these nations. By hook or by crook. That's why they are bent. Because they know that they have actually, and that's why Benin military guys are not happy. The military guys who carry out this coup d'etat in Benin are members who want to kick away France from Benin, kick away France. And if France is kicked away from Benin, French will further cry. And that's why Nigerian government says they are going to deploy troops to Benin tomorrow. First thing tomorrow, you see the ECOWAS troops in Benin. You see, you have insecurity in Nigeria. Nigeria Senate has not signed a motion to deploy troops to Zambezi Forest. You have places where terrorists will come to a locality and kidnap people for 2 hours, operate fully, and go. Of recent, a brigadier general in Nigeria was kidnapped by terrorists, by this radical Islamic group. This brigadier general, a brigadier general is not any kind of cock and bull person. It's someone that moves with a lot of his elements, that controls platoon. He was kidnapped. Once he was kidnapped, he tried. He spent some few days. He later on escaped. From the kidnappers. Why in the bush? He heard the story very well, though. He escaped from the kidnappers. As he escaped, he used his military idea and sent signal to where he was so that he can be rescued by Nigeria Air Force. Brigadier General. so he can be rescued by Nigerian Air Force. While the terrorists were looking for him, as he contacted and sent signal, somebody within the government leaked his position to this terrorist, leaked his position to the terrorist. He waited for more than 2 hours. The rescue was not coming, of which the nearest airfield was not far away. It would take approximately 20 minutes. 20 minutes for an helicopter in the nearest airfield to get to where this brigadier general was and rescue him. But it did not happen. These terrorists later on followed the brigadier general. They went and arrested him again, kidnapped him again, and they killed him. He was killed in front of live camera. He was killed in front of live camera. Live camera. They recorded, the terrorists actually recorded that a brigadier general, Nigeria could not deploy. But now that there's a coup d'etat in Benin Republic, Nigeria has quickly deployed with France to go out, and they went and bomb places. Fear God. Fear God. Fear God, oh. They went and bombed places simply because they wanted to restore democracy in Benin. That's crazy. That's just being crazy. That you could not maintain your nation in security. You could not maintain security. You are going to a war in Benin because you know that France has promised to give you money. France has promised to give you, when you go for this operation, France will give you what's called a dark money. A dark money is the money that is not accounted for you to use. There is God, oh. There is God. When I look at the way things are going, I feel like crying. Thank you very much, Destiny, for my gift. Thank you very much for my gift on TikTok. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my gift on TikTok. Banta Cindy say, please, I enjoy your broadcast. Thank you very much, Destiny. God bless you. You see this gift that you are giving me? I declare, those of you watching me on TikTok and gifting me on TikTok, God will reward you. Those of you on Facebook, if you don't have gift, you have Momo, and you can ask, I give you my Momo number so that you bless me, so that God will bless you. God bless you, Prince. In fact, let me pray for you. Let me declare. I declare that with this gift that you have given me, you shall have 100-fold in your account. Amen. You shall have 100-fold. You shall multiply. You shall go places. You're already in places. That's why you're gifting me. Yes, I'm a Cameroonian. Pedro, I'm a Cameroonian. Pedro. So, I'm a Cameroonian. Those of you gifting me, I pray that God blesses you. Let them talk. You have also gifted me this evening. God bless you. God bless. The people watching me on Facebook, don't rush me. Let me praise those who are blessing me. Because it's like in the church, a pastor will spend 5 minutes for the gospel, 1 minute to talk about tithe and offering. So this is my own church. So I want to spend this more time to say, all those of you who have gifted me today and who are gifting me, those of you commenting also, I want to thank you. Dominos Public Schools, Espiritutus, Laxus, Esperantes, God bless you for the gift that you are giving me. Okay, give Momo number, please. I will give a Nanaso 676 431384. So the name is Tar. Oh, Mama Mia, God bless you for your gift. God bless you for your gift. So Banta Cindy Candy, I don't send them. So I don't send them. Now, the situation in Burkina Faso, when Tinubu wins 2027 election, we will still come here and analyze Africa. Thank you. So the situation in Nigeria is sad. It's sad because Nigeria president is focused more on getting money from the France and to sell Nigeria rather than protecting Nigeria. As I'm talking to you this evening, before I came to this podcast, there have been a good number of persons that have been kidnapped in Nigeria. A good number kidnapped in Nigeria this evening, this same evening, kidnapped. And it is not a state of emergency for Nigeria. I think that ECOWAS forces are supposed to deploy their military to Nigeria. Nigeria should be a country of particular concern, not Benin. How is a military coup d'etat? How does the military coup d'etat in Benin concern Nigeria? How does it concern Nigeria? Just tell me, how does it concern Nigeria? How does it concern Nigeria? That some people say they don't want a particular leader. And let me tell you what is happening. President Talon of Terence, thank you, good evening. President Talon, let me explain what happened. Benin has a 5-year mandate. What happened is, President Talon's mandate is due to expire this April. He has changed the mandate from 5 years to 7 years. He has increased it to 7 years. And when he increased it to 7 years, he's not supposed to seek re-election. As it stands right now, he's about seeking, thank you, Barry Kingsley. He's about to seek re-election. He's not supposed to seek re-election, but he's about to seek re-election. You see, ECOWAS play a blind eye when unconstitutional coup d'etat occur under the guise of election. The same thing the African Union is doing. African Union is playing a blind eye when Cameroon organized the election. As controversial as it was and as it is, African Union was quick to wish Cameroon incumbent a congratulation. They did not bother about what has happened. They did not bother about the post-electoral violence. They did not bother. What they were bothered was, our own has won the election, let us protect it. In Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara came in 2015. And Côte d'Ivoire has a 2-year mandate. We were made to understand that Laurent Gbagbo was the problem of Côte d'Ivoire. That Ouattara was coming to solve the problem of Côte d'Ivoire. But let me shock you what happened. Ivorians fought heavily for Ouattara because they saw Ouattara as somebody who is coming to redeem them. And there is a law, si tu n'as pas Ivorien, tu ne peux pas contester élection présidentielle. What does it mean? It means that Ivory Coast has had a law. The law states that your father and your mother must be Ivorian before you can contest to be the president of Ivory Coast. Without that, you can contest to be anything. But for you to become president of Ivory Coast, you must have your parent, your mother and father from Ivory Coast. Now, Ouattara, the father is from Burkina Faso. Now, when he was about to contest, the people of Ivory Coast who saw him as a messiah fought to a way that law was changed to accommodate Ouattara. That law was made in a way that it will benefit Ouattara, so that Ouattara will come in. The people went to the streets in Côte d'Ivoire to fight Gbagbo because they said Gbagbo was the enemy. And why did it occur? Because Gbagbo started kicking against the French. Gbagbo started going to the Gaddafi way. Ouattara, the French government saw that this was a threat and decided to bring Ouattara. Ouattara was branded as the Democrats. Ouattara took over. He was supposed to do two terms. Côte d'Ivoire has a 5-year mandate. 2015. From 2015 to 2020. 2020. No, he took from 2010 to 2015. It's 5 years. 2015 to 2020. 2015 to 2020 is another 2010 to 2015, 5 years. 2015 to 2020 is how many years? another 5 years, which means that his mandate was supposed to expire in 2020. He was not supposed to contest for the 2020 election. But what did Ouattara do? Ouattara went, changed the constitution so that the constitution would favor him and he would seek re-election. And when Ouattara changed the constitution, ECOWAS did not sanction Ouattara. ECOWAS did not punish Ouattara. ECOWAS did not, in fact, ECOWAS went ahead to congratulate Ouattara. People went to the street in Ivory Coast protesting that Ouattara should not be president. They were killed. More than 50 people were killed in 2020 on the streets of Abidjan, protesting that Ouattara is not supposed to seek a third mandate because he has to seek only 2 mandates, non-renewable. What did ECOWAS do? Nothing. What did African Union do? Nothing. Because it is their own. These are clubs of corrupt. African Union and ECOWAS are clubs of corrupt politicians who come there to share the dividends of wickedness, evil, hatred, bitterness against their people. That's the club. Any rightful thinking president will not actually take part in African Union. I'm coming to African Union's case. So Ouattara took over. Ouattara went to election in 2021. The people thought that, okay, Ouattara will not seek another mandate because his mandate, he has successfully seek 3 mandates. Ouattara this year, when they gave an election, the people protested that Ouattara will not be. They went to the street, violent, people died. ECOWAS turned a blind eye. That's a constitutional coup d'etat. ECOWAS did not react. ECOWAS stayed quiet. Nothing happened. ECOWAS stayed quiet. But now that there's a coup d'etat in Benin, even after what the Benin president did by extending the mandate from 5 years to 7 years and wanting to stay in power, ECOWAS did not see anything wrong with that its own. But they saw something wrong with the military taking over power in Benin. Why? Because the French saw that see, let me tell you, any coup d'etat that you see ECOWAS fighting actively against, know that that coup d'etat is not sponsored by the French. It's not sponsored by the French. Let me go to an example. There was a coup d'etat that occurred in Guinea-Bissau. Have you seen the same energy that did you see what happened in Benin? Did it happen in Guinea-Bissau? No, it did not. It did not happen in Guinea-Bissau because there was no coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau. What happened in Guinea-Bissau was an arrangement between the president who has lost an election and the French government who are trying to protect their interests because they know that the opposition who won the election will not want to toe line with the French government. There was a coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau. ECOWAS did not deploy fighter jet. As they heard that there's a coup d'etat in Benin, immediately the French used their military base in Benin and started attacking military operations. ECOWAS is now instead being used to legitimize violence. African Union. Do you know that the European Union has a special seat in African Union? Are you aware that EU has a seat in African Union? Are you aware? A permanent seat in African Union. Are you aware that what happened in Gabon was not a coup d'etat? Are you aware that what happened in Gabon was simply a transfer of power to a French puppet who would continue in advocating for the French interest? Have you also come to understood that what happened in Guinea-Conakry was not a coup d'etat? Have you also understood what happened in Guinea-Conakry is not a coup d'etat? Have you seen Mamadou Doumbouya of recent? Have you seen what Mamadou Doumbouya is doing of recent? The French government knew that there was going to be a coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau. They knew. They knew very well. But because the candidate in Guinea-Bissau is a French-backed candidate, they allowed it to happen. Because they saw that the coup d'etat in Benin is anti-France, they quickly came in and sponsored Nigeria. They called Tinubu, Bola. How you doing, Bola? I'm doing well. You need money? They give dark money. There was no coup d'etat that occurred in Gabon. No coup d'etat. Let me tell you, no coup d'etat occurred in Gabon. No coup d'etat occurred in Guinea-Bissau. No coup d'etat occurred in Guinea-Bissau. You see the coup d'etat that occurred in this country that this island, how do you call this country? Madagascar. That was a coup d'etat. That was a coup d'etat. The Madagascar military leader is a no-nonsense person. He has actually started telling the French government to pack and leave Madagascar. Among all of this, the highest scam that we had in constitutional democracy, there was one nation that we had hopes that this nation is not a coup, but the leaders, the military, the civilian leaders will actually do the job that we want, and that is Senegal. Senegal, we have been betrayed by Diomaye Faye. Diomaye Faye had now decided to sell Senegal to the French, and that's why Macron is his best friend. See here. Thank you very much, Terence. Thank you very much. I am not an anti-French person. I am a pro-African, an African first mentality. African first mentality. And that's why you see the coup leaders in Benin. Till now, they have not arrested that man. And his faction is leading the faction. Mark this. Benin will descend into a civil war. Mark this thing I'm telling you. They have not arrested the coup leader. And they thought that maybe he ran and entered into Burkina Faso. And if he entered Burkina Faso, he will be protected. He will be protected. If he enters Burkina Faso, he will be protected. Rather, but if he enters any of these nations, he will not be protected. There's a good number of factions of Benin military right now that are loyal to the coup leader that's on the run. The French government are trying to use their satellite. They are trying to use their satellite. You look at the French-dominated countries. The African nations that are under France. Okay, if you look at them very well, you will see that most of these nations that are under France are actually redressing away from France. But when you see some of our nations like Nigeria is now instead getting closer to France. Why? Because Nigeria has a president who is corrupt, who was accused of narcotic trafficking, who does not even know when he was born, he does not even know when he went to school, because of too many changes, and that's why Nigeria has the coup in Benin is still ongoing. It has failed, but it's still ongoing. Let nobody fool you. There is still fighting in Benin. The coup is still ongoing because the president does not have full control over the military right now in Benin. He does not have full control, and that's why France is bent on making sure that they should restore democracy in Benin. And that was why today, Nigerian Senate approved ground operation. That's why today, Nigerian Senate approved ground operation, approved that Nigerian soldiers should go into Benin, and go and fight. Nigerian Senate approved it today, that they should go in Benin and go and fight. So the only people now that can protect this Benin, the only people that can protect the Benin coup plotters are the Sahel nations. Because if they catch this leader, he's DEA, dead. That's why this January, I'll be going to Burkina Faso to shoot a Pan-African documentary. I'll be going to Burkina Faso to shoot a Pan-African documentary this January. Those of you who want to support my movement, on the 5th of January, from the 5th of January, I will be making a trip to Burkina Faso. There are a lot of unreported issue. I want to go and do a detailed documentary about Burkina Faso. Clearance already I had clearance already, and you will see a lot. I'll bring to you guys a lot of things in Burkina Faso. A lot is happening that they don't tell you. And France is mad. France cannot. Burkina Faso is the center that holds the anti-French sentiment, that the Pan-Africanism is the center. If you crack Burkina Faso, you crack Niger. If you crack Burkina Faso, you crack Mali. That's why all eyes are Burkina Faso. That's why the Nigerian military jet landed in Burkina Faso. The Nigerian military jet went to Bobo Dioulasso, was forced to land. Today, Nigeria is coming to tell us that no, the military jet in Nigeria, in Burkina Faso, they had an emergency landing. What emergency landing? You are fooling people when Burkina Faso is telling you that there was no emergency landing. When the Sahel nations are telling that there was no, it was not an emergency landing, that the jet was forced to land. The jet was forced to land, not an emergency landing. The jet was forced to land. If the jet had not landed, they would have bombed them. You see, France now is working hard, hand to hand with Tinubu, because France wants to fight. There's a silent war also within the Western nations. There's a silent war within the Western nations. You see, Europe is against America. Any place that Donald Trump says A, outside US, outside Europe, the European nations, France, Germany, Britain, will take B. Donald Trump said America was going to invade, was going to actually help Nigeria to fight against terrorism, to wipe away terrorists in their country. That was a good move. And it's a good move by Donald Trump. The moment Donald Trump made that, that was when Emmanuel Macron saw that Nigeria needs help. Macron quickly came and told Nigeria that don't forget about Trump. It's the same thing that's happening in the war in Ukraine. When America goes right, Europe goes left, because they hate Donald Trump. They have always hated Donald Trump. In their lifetime, they never thought that Donald Trump was going to win re-election. They never thought. All of these guys are people who are woke, who are leftists, who believe that the world must have their own ideology. These are people who support the agege things. They are people who support the transgender, whatever you can name the rest. That's why you see in the war in Ukraine is something different. When America proposed a peace deal, Europe says no. America proposed a peace deal, Europe says no. In Africa now, America is saying that, okay, let us go and help Nigeria. France is telling Nigeria that don't take the help, that we will supply you with equipment, we will supply you with resources so that you can fight. When Trump go left, they go right. If Trump come to Cameroon today and tell Cameroon that, hey, I'm going to support you people in fighting against Boko Haram insurgency in the north, I bet you France will quickly provide resources to Cameroon to challenge America. So we have a silent war. We have a lot of wars ongoing. But as I was talking to you, that the African Union, European Union has its permanent seat in the African Union. When African Union is having its plenary, its deliberation, European Union special envoy are in the house. They hear everything, they contribute to the same. Why? Because 80% of the budget of the African Union is being sponsored by European Union. 80%. And yet we call ourselves that we are independent. We call ourselves that we like our countries, our continent, where 80% of your budget in the African Union comes from the European Union, and that's why the European Union has a permanent seat. So if we make matter worse, Israel has a seat in African Union. Israel has a seat in African Union. If we make matter worse, Israel has a seat. So even just make the thing even worse, Israel. Does African Union has a seat in European Union? No. What is even the need of African Union? African Union was supposed to guarantee free trade across member states. Was supposed to have one universal passport within the continent. Like you have the European passport, where you can use one passport across. African Union was supposed to also guarantee that in terms of visa procurement, once you have the African Union passport, you don't need visa again to visit any African nation. African Union was also to ensure that the economy that is symbolized in the tax system. But let me tell you, to live from Cameroon to Nigeria, it is when you are using a plane, it is like live from Cameroon to France. It is more cheaper to live from Africa to another continent than it is within Africa and Africa. Why? Because of the several taxes that have been placed. Then you tell me, what's the use of African Union? What's the use? What's the use of African Union? If the Union cannot guarantee free trade, if the Union cannot guarantee free security, if the Union cannot guarantee free movement. Let me give you another example. Kenya, you leave Kenya, you want to enter Tanzania, just people of the same area, you need a different telephone number, a different code. You live there, you want to enter Rwanda, people who share border, you need a different code, different telephone code. You live there, how did we get here? The worst is even the currency. Kenya has the shillings, Tanzania has Tanzania shillings, Kenya has Kenya shillings. You understand? Now let us look at Africa, Central Africa. Let us look at Central Africa. Central Africa is even the same worst. Do you know that the CFA being used by Cameroon, this CFA here, when I go to Burkina Faso, I will show you people the money, the CFA. This CFA that we are using in Cameroon, this CFA, right, is produced from France. Not so. France has a reserve, right? It is not the same CFA that is being used in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger. It's not the CFA used in Gabon. How do you explain the fact that it's different CFA, which means that if I leave Cameroon, I go to Burkina Faso, I have to change my CFA to Burkina Faso CFA. It drops my currency by 1,000 francs CFA. And you tell me that there is a need for African Union? What then is the use of African Union? What then? What then is the use of African Union? Where intercontinental trade cannot be free, movement cannot be free, tax system cannot be harmonized. We cannot have bilateral trade. It's so sad. And that's why you see the European Union are bent on the fact that African Union should not come to terms with that. Britain will never go and negotiate deals as Britain. They will go as EU. They will go as EU. But you see Africa, Mamma mia. Guys, tomorrow we shall continue. I want to thank all those of you who have gifted me. Please, if you still have your gift before I end this podcast, send. If you want to send me mobile money, send. If you want to send me mobile money, tell me, let me send you my mobile money address number so that you can send. If you are watching on Facebook and you want to send me mobile money, I will give you send me through mobile money. If you want to send, if you are watching on TikTok, you feel moved, you feel motivated, children of Zion, children of God, let me talk like a preacher, do well to motivate me, do well to motivate. You can send your gift. If you are watching on Facebook, you can also Momo. Since Facebook does not have gift, that TikTok has gift. Those of you on TikTok, I want to appreciate you. Some people have been asking, where have I been? The political landscape of Cameroon has been in a quagmire, in a limbo. Hey, before I even close, let me also talk about Cameroon. Today, in Cameroon, today, which happens to be the 9th of December, thousands of people in Mutengene, chief town of Tiko subdivision, Fako division, in the southwest region of Cameroon, had to block the road because they have not had electricity for quite some long time. They have not had electricity for quite some long time. How did we get to the situation in Cameroon where major towns and cities don't have electricity for a long time and it's fine? And to the other people, it's fine to them. They have no problem. To them, it's okay. That people had to strike before you listen to them. That people had to block traffic before you actually give them a listening ear. How did we get to this level? How did we get here? On our basic command. How did we get here? How did we get here where people have to protest before you give them electricity? Thousands of people block the road today, demanding electricity. Not like free electricity that they will pay for. Human rights is not only freedom of expression. Human rights also involve provision of electricity. Human rights also involve provision of security. Human rights also involve provision of adequate health care. Human rights also involve the production of food, provision of food. Human rights involve a good number of issues. You give them electricity, you are violating their human right. See this country? Come on, a prank. Thank you guys all for watching. Tomorrow we'll come back with yet another update. Bye bye.